Are you that poor in Hypixel Skyblock? Well, don't worry, because I've got you covered. In this video, I'm going to be showing you 5 different early game money making methods that you can start doing, and they're all going to require little to no setup. So to cut to the chase, the 5 money making methods are going to be automaton grinding, sludge mining, treasure hoarder grinding, ink fishing, and then finally running S plus or S dungeon runs, more specifically floor 4 and floor 5. These are designed to be quite early game friendly, as not only are you getting a decent amount of coins, but you'll also be getting a good amount of skill XP, so you'll be getting combat XP, mining XP, and also some fishing XP while you're at it as well. Apart from the last money making method, the setups for all of these money making methods are really quite minimal. And to be honest, if you're planning on running dungeons, it doesn't really matter anyway whether I mention it in this video or not. But it's just to highlight some key flaws that you can make money from and where your money is actually going to be coming from whilst doing those runs. If you enjoyed the video, then please like, and if you're actually cool, then maybe consider subscribing as well, because it really helps out the channel and I'd really appreciate it. Also, I know I say this every time, but if you want to join my Discord, we host 10 million coin giveaways on there, so if you want the chance to win some free money, then link is in the description. And with that, let's get into the video. So for the first money making method, we have automaton grinding. Now to be able to kill these, you need to be able to deal 15,000 damage per click, and you also ideally want a set that makes sure you don't die. However, if you have something like Sorrow, which is a magic find set, then that's really ideal, because magic find increases the drop chance of the robot parts. So to get here, you need access to the crystal hollows, which isn't very hard at all, it's only Hearted Mountain free. Then find the precursor remnants, and then find the lost precursor city, and usually there'll be someone in your lobby in this so they can give you the coordinates for this. Although it's really not hard to find it yourself, because I mean, look how massive this place is. For those of you who don't know, automaton farming is very simple. All you have to do is just run around and you just go and kill these golden things, and then once in a while you get a robot part. And these robot parts go for around 150 to 200,000 coins on EAH on average. The drop chance for these is around 1 to 2%, however it is affected by magic find. So if you have 100 magic find, then on average your drop chance is going to be around 3%. And as always, the more magic find you get, the more money you'll be making as well. So I did a little test to see how much money I would be making. So as you can see the screenshots showing now, I killed around 50 automatons in 5 minutes. And with my magic find, this means I'll be getting around 2 robot parts per hour, which is equivalent to probably around 300 to 400k. Now times this by 12 to get the hourly rate, and you're looking at around 3 to 4 million coins. And for a mid-game player, I really don't think that's bad at all. Although this is a pretty decent money making method, ultimately, if you can't one-tap them, or if you end up dying a lot to them, then definitely don't do this, because you end up having to find the lost precursor city every single time you die, and overall, you're better off just grinding normal skills if you're doing this, or finding a different money making method. So moving on to my second money making method, we have treasure hoarder farming. Now to get there, it's very simple. You come out of the Dwarven Mines, and you TP up here, and you run up here, turn left, and treasure hoarders are all here. Now the idea behind this is very simple. You kill the treasure hoarders, which have 22,000 HP by the way, but they literally do 0 damage. So all you need to focus on is about dealing enough damage to one-tap them. When you kill them, they'll drop usually 2 to 3 Starfall each time. And Starfall on the Bazaar, currently, as you can see, it's selling 1.5 to 1.6k per. As I mentioned before, all you need to do is just be able to deal 22,000 damage, and you also want a good amount of speed, so for me, Young Dragon Armor works perfectly fine. So now for the fun part, how much money do you make doing this? I've covered this on my channel before, but I did a 5-minute test, how much money I made. Just looking at this is how much I got from 5 minutes of grinding. Quickly, if I sell the Starfall on the Bazaar, that was around 350k from the Starfall alone, and if I sell the Treasurite, that's again another 10k, and the Salmon Opals are another 10k. So all in all, that's nearly 400k for 5 minutes. Now obviously, I've got pretty good stats, my beastry is pretty good, so my rates are probably going to be a little bit higher than yours, but for treasure hoarders, I wouldn't expect it to be too much less because there's no dependence on magic find. So again, if you look at this, I was making nearly 5 million coins an hour, which is actually pretty good if you come to think about it. And I would greatly suggest this for mid-game players, because also, each kill I was getting, although I do have things like a booster cookie and a god potion equipped, I was getting around 140 combat XP per kill, which is actually pretty good, you know? And this is also pretty good because the prices of Starfall have actually risen from the last video I made about the treasure hoarder grinding. So anyways, with that out of the way, let's move on to the next money making method. So for the third money making method, we have sludge mining in the crystal hollows, more specifically the jungle. Now how this works is you get your jungle pickaxe and you mine in the crystal hollows until you get a sludge juice, like this. They spawn really frequently, and each one on the bazaar goes for around 1.2 to 1.3k coins. Now there are two requirements to be able to do this. The first is you need to have a jungle pickaxe. Now this is important because of the perk which says gives a chance to drop sludge juice when mining in the jungle of the crystal hollows. And this is how you can spawn the sludge juice, and this is also ultimately where you're going to be getting your money from. Now the second requirement, which is probably harder, is you need to have 1500 mining speed whilst holding the jungle pickaxe. Now the reason you need 1500 mining speed is so you can insta-break hardstone, because trust me, there's no point in doing this if you can't insta-break hardstone. Also, a very important thing to keep in mind is that you really should be hard to mount in 6, because that's when you unlock the mole perk, and that makes breaking all the hardstone so much easier. Now if you're wondering how to get this mining speed, my advice is of course you should have an efficiency 5 on your pickaxe, then you can also get a reforge which gives some mining speed. However, the more important things that you should do is in your hardened mountain tree, you should invest all of your mithril powder into mining speed. Another way you can get some easy mining speed is by getting an armor set like Glaciite, which gives a little bit of mining speed, and then also you can put some amber gemstones on the Glaciite, which will increase your mining speed further. So to calculate how much money per hour you'll be making from sludge mining, I did a 5-minute test, and here's what I got. I got nearly 3 stacks of sludge juice and 15 enchanted hardstone, which as you can see on the bazaar, if you put this in a sell offer, you're getting around 230,000 coins. And for an hourly rate, this means that you'll probably be making around 2.6 to 2.7 million coins an hour. This is, albeit slightly less money than the previous money making methods. However, a big bonus with this is that you can actually get loads and loads of powder, like mithril and gemstone powder, along the way whilst you're doing it.
Woo! Yeah, baby!
And if you need to grind powder anyway to be able to get a good mining setup, then sludge mining is definitely a good way to go, because as you're mining, chests will appear and you can open those chests to gain loads and loads of gemstone and mithril powder. So overall, this is one of my favourites because it gives a somewhat decent amount of money, and then you also get all the powder that you get with it as well. So moving to the park, we are not going to be returning to any of the mining islands for any future money making method. The fourth money making method that I have installed is actually ink fishing. Now ink fishing is slightly more complex and maybe slightly more unusual than the other ones. And it also maybe requires a little bit more setup as well. I think most of you already know what squid fishing is. It's where you basically just fish up squids in the park in rain, preferably night squids, and then you sell the ink sacks to make tons of coins per hour. Now in terms of requirements and gear to be able to do this, with your fishing rod, it should just be the highest in the lily pad collection chain that you can get. Now this can be stuff like a challenging rod, rod of champions, rod of legends, or ultimately you want to get your hands on a rod of the sea. For the armor, if you're early game, then things like a salmon armor and a hydra head works, or you can use diver armor and then later on shark armor. Now finally we get to the pet, and this is probably the most complex part. I know technically there's a thing called like triples pet swapping, but I usually just use 2 pets for this. For me, I'm using an ammonite and a squid pet. So how it works, for me at least, I have an auto pet rule, so when I throw a fishing hook, it summons the ammonite. So I throw the fishing hook, and then when the squid spawns, I switch to my squid pet and then kill it, because a squid pet, if you didn't know, it gives 100% drop chance to get double drop from squids at level 100. And this is really good for money, and it literally doubles your money. Alternatively, if your mining level is really crap and your hardened mountain is bad, then you can use a dolphin instead of an ammonite. But you should definitely try and get your hands on an epic squid pet, preferably high level as well. So now we're going to go into the hourly rates for how much money you make. So for this, I was able to get 4 enchanted ink sacs, 37 ink sacs, a couple of stacks of lily pads, and then also I was able to get around a stack of chum. Now all in all, if you were to sell everything, and this is including all like the enchanted lily pads, and also you can fish up other sea creatures as well, this will probably end up looking at around 340,000 coins. And bear in mind, that's just for 5 minutes. So the hourly rate, you're looking at something at around 4 million coins per hour. And although this might require a little bit more setup, I genuinely think it's still worth it. And of course, the charm also adds up to around 30,000 coins as well per stack, which is also, you know, pretty nice as well. However, one thing to note is that you do have to have rain active, and this costs 5,000 coins per minute. However, if you're in a lobby, then there's also going to be other players fishing, so then sometimes you'll be alternating who pays for the rain, so this is not too much of an issue. And anyway, with ink and squid fishing out of the way, let's move on to our final money making method. So for the final money making method, we travel Dungeon Hub, more specifically floor 4 and floor 5. Now the reason I mentioned these two floors specifically is because it's the two floors which you can actually make a decent amount of money. However, because this guide is focused around the mid-game section of Hypixel Skyblock, the chances that you're able to do higher floors are pretty unlikely. So I thought that floor 4s and 5 is a good compromise between money and skill. Now in terms of requirements, you're going to need to be able to do these floors quickly and efficiently without your whole team dying as well. And so for Catacombs level, I'd say for floor 4, maybe like 14, and floor 5, maybe something like 18 or 19. I'm not going to be going through the gear in each class, because that's just going to take way too long, and also I've covered about what gear you should have for every single dungeon floor in my previous videos. So to explain where your money is actually going to be coming from, there's two kinds of sources of income, which I like to call it. The first is obviously the end of a dungeon chest and getting really good rewards and getting good luck. And these are things like spirit bows and shadow assassin chestplates, for example. However, the other type of profit that I'm talking about is more passive profit, and you're going to be getting these on every run. What I mean by this is things like essence, which if you didn't know, you can actually sell in the bazaar, and it actually gives you a pretty decent amount of profit. So each run, if you get 20 wither and undead essence, then that's an easy 50k from essence alone, and I think quite a lot of people actually overlook that when they're factoring their profits. Again, more things include things like healing potions, which go for 20k each to NPCs, and then also treasure talismans. Although they are slightly rarer, they're still around 300 to 350,000 coins on the auction house. And when you're playing dungeons, you're just going to get loads of mob drops which you can salvage or sell on the auction house. Then also things like dragon fragments also can sell for a bit of money over time. In terms of profitable drops from the dungeon chests, for floor 4, you're ideally looking at getting the spirit wing or the spirit bow. And for floor 5, the main sources of profit that you're looking at is the Shadow Fury and the Shadow Assassin chestplates. Overall, if you have a decent team and you're not like, you know, a monkey, then ideally for floor 5, you should really be looking at completing these runs in about 10 minutes. And to be honest, that's really achievable. So then you're looking at around 5 runs per hour. And although dungeons are pretty much entirely RNG dependent, doing dungeons is great because it serves as both a money making method, and also of course you're just getting loads of Catacombs XP that you're able to do higher floors of the dungeons. Overall, for this money making method, I think pretty much everyone knew that you can do floor 4 and 5, but I just wanted to point out some ways which you might not already be realizing that you can actually be making a pretty sizable profit on there. And with the end of the last money making method, that's probably going to wrap up this video. If you enjoyed it or learned something new, then please leave a like, and if you're extra cool, then consider subscribing as well, because it's free and I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, I hope you have a good rest of your day and time to go grind some coins.